Hi guys, welcome back to our little video tutorial for this afternoon. Today, as I mentioned on BB Creations Facebook page, I thought it would be really good to do a bit of an upcycling after our very gluttonous Christmas. We all probably have quite a few of these laying around. Empty chocolate boxes, which are absolutely fantastic for storage. Now, one of the things I really like doing is taking a box and turning it into something new, whether that be so you can add other bits and pieces inside it to make it as a gift for somebody, or for your own use, so like home storage, to put in those bits and pieces that you've got lying around that you just really don't know what to do with. It allows you to add a personal touch to an item. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and let this record as much as possible. Obviously I don't know exactly how long this is going to take me. I've laid out a couple of different things that I'm going to be using. So we've got some bits of paper, some flowers, some other bits and pieces, and just kind of have a little play and see what I come up with. What I may do is kind of go back over the video and kind of talk through what I did later, just kind of, you can kind of see from a sort of retro perspective. Now, I'm going to be using my box to store some bathing products in the bathroom. I thought this was a really good box to do that because it's got one of those sort of over seals, and it's quite plasticky, so it's not going to kind of get too much condensation or anything like that in there. So as you all know, I'm quite into making my own soaps and things like that at the moment, so I thought that'd be a really good box. Obviously you guys could make boxes for whatever you wanted, but I just thought it'd be really nice to kind of just do a little bit of a tutorial on what I do. So yeah, watch and enjoy. Thanks. Hi guys, so as I said, I'd kind of do a video voiceover for this section of the video, just so I could focus on what I was actually doing, because being creative can take a lot of time and energy. So I just wanted to kind of cover for you some of the items that I'm going to be using in the video, which you can kind of see now. The papers which I've got there are by a company called Hunky Dory, and they were from a collection that they did in 2016 called, oh gosh, what was it called? It had butterflies in it, and it was quite nostalgic, so it had lots of kind of warm tones in it. But one thing that you can use, which is very similar to this, is old books. So if you went into a charity shop and grabbed yourself some of those old yellowing books, something like that, or old sheet music, works really well as well. Now obviously when you are wrapping round a round surface, the best thing that you can do, and you'll see me doing it later in this video, is to kind of create a couple of little segments so that you can get a really smooth finish. So you'll probably see me doing that now, and that just allows for the papers to sit really flush and not move. The glue that I used in this tutorial is a wet glue. I find it's a lot better for some of the crafting projects that I do, and that is that glue there is the Cosmic Shimmer glue. Now Cosmic Shimmer is a fantastic glue. I really can't recommend it enough, and you can pick it up in a lot of craft stores really quite cheap. I mean, it's about £7 for one of those bigger bottles, but it lasts really well, and is fantastic. It's never let me down or come unstuck after a couple of months on any of my more practical projects. So yeah, definitely a good one to use. Now basically I'm just going to kind of do this all the way around the product, or the box, and I've kind of skipped over that bit because you don't need to see me doing it over and over again. And then what I've done here is, because it's a bit of more of a round shape on the lid, which is a little bit more challenging to cover, I've done a kind of kind of got lots of different shaped bits of paper and kind of stuck them over the top and sort of trimmed around the edges. A bit more sort of collagey, but at the same time gives a really nice effect as well. Now the really good thing obviously about using wet glue is kind of once you start sticking stuff down and it's stuck, you can kind of play with it quite quickly. You don't have to wait too much for it to dry. Obviously that does depend slightly on the different types of paper that you'll be using, but obviously with the Hunky Dory papers they are really good quality, so I do recommend them. Now as I said, with the lid I've kind of really just kind of given it a kind of different type of effect there. It is a little bit more textured, as you can kind of see from the picture, which kind of adds to a kind of a little more of a vintage type feel to it, rather than kind of smooth and finalised and finished. Now that there is basically a textured paste stencil that I've used. It's by a company called Imagination Crafts, who are quite popular. They do a lot of stencils, they do a lot of paste, they do a lot of different type of altered art effect products, which I really like. They do a lot of the glitter pastes, which are really pretty and have lots of different colours to them and kind of add lots of different effects to your work. Now obviously the different stencils you can get are different from the different pastes, so therefore you can kind of mix and match them whatever you want really to give different effects. If any of you have seen my Instagram account, I recently did a little project on there using some other pieces that I had stenciled using their paste. And I think I'll put a link down below to their website, because although you can buy it on different crafting channels, they do some really nice pieces as well. So then I go on to basically kind of adding some embellishments to the lid. Now things like doilies, I mean you can pick them up on eBay for about 1,000 in a pack for about £2. I mean they're super duper cheap, but actually they give you a really nice kind of like vintage kind of classic girly look to a project. And the one other thing that I really like about them is you can kind of do lots of different effects with them, so you can kind of cut them up or stencil through them, ink them, so they're really fun and a versatile product to use. Now that flower is just a gel based embellishment that I got somewhere, I couldn't even tell you where I got it, but those sorts of things are quite easy to pick up in your local craft stores. And I am giving it a little bit of extra glue, just because sometimes the glue that's on those dries out quite a lot in the piece. Now it's always important to think about balancing when you're doing a project like this, because you don't want to kind of just throw loads of stuff on it and then have it look kind of heavy on one side. You need to have a balance. Now generally speaking, the rule of 3 applies quite a lot in craft, and you'll hear lots of people talking about that. So when you are placing things like flowers on a project or creating any type of layers, if you stick to the rule of 3, so kind of putting things in 3 different locations and having the odd one, kind of balances it out, and you'll see what I mean by that by the end of the video hopefully. Now these flowers that I'm putting on now aren't paper, and I've tried to avoid using too much kind of paper products in this, although there has got obviously the paper background and things like that, but I've tried using a few other things that aren't paper just because I know it's going to be in the bathroom and it might get a little bit moisture on it. So these are actually a foam based flower which came from a Stephanie Wakeman collection in about 2014, and that I've had in my craft room as a decoration for a really long time, but I thought, do you know what? Now is the time to use them. Now the thing that I really find annoying about flowers that you buy in bundles like this is obviously having to chop the stems off. Now I understand they're there for a reason, but why can't they just come without the stems? Or you know, with shorter stems already folded in at the end, so you don't have to go and chop them off. Now, some people do use the stems, and I understand that, but generally speaking, in a project like this, you don't need them. So it's really annoying having to blunt your scissors to try and chop them off. Now, oh gosh, I'm in shot. I really hate how I look when I'm crafting, but I always want to make sure that I'm making something look really pretty, especially if I'm not looking pretty myself. Now, as you can see there, you've got the group of 3 flowers, and that's balanced out really nicely. Now, there were lots of other embellishments that I wanted to use on the project, but actually sometimes less is more, as I said before, and it's important to get that balance right. So moving back, what I've done now is I've added on some gemstone embellishments, as you can see from the corner piece there, really to kind of give it a little bit more of a inclusive feel. So just down the side then, I've done quite big ones. Now actually I only got those from a pound shop, which were really, really cheap. So do check out your local pound stores, because you can get things in there like little crafty bits and pieces really quite cheap, and if you buy them in bulk, obviously they're going to last you a really long time and will save you a lot of money. Now, the lettering that I've used for this actually comes from a Craftwork cards collection, which I probably got about 2 years ago, and these are actually stickers which I have basically just cut down to use on this, and I'm going to mount them on some sticky foam just to give them a little bit more height and to raise them above the project. As I said, it's really important when you're doing projects like this to kind of create a little bit of texture and a little bit of layering. That just allows you to kind of draw the person's eye into the project and to kind of give them a little bit of sense of there's a few more things going on, it's not too flat, and just kind of brings those colours together. Now, colour is always really important, and I don't know if many of you know about the colour wheel. Obviously you can use that as a tool to kind of help guide you, but generally speaking, if you stick to kind of 1 or 2 main colours and then add in a few smaller colours into the mix that you know think that are going to fit, then obviously keeping it simple and plain is always better than adding too much. So on this project I've used a lot of creams and purples, and then kind of accented it with the darker black and the white to kind of give it that pop that it needed, to make those areas stand out more. So that's it, guys. That is the final thing. Thank you very much. See you again.